God, I haven't seen you in years and years and years. You and I worked the Town Hill and Brooklyn.
Yeah, it's been many years ago.
Many years. Tell me about the days when LaVern Baker, where you're actually from.
My home is Chicago.
Chicago?
Born and raised, yes.
I'm from Illinois originally
Really?
too. Yes.
Oh,
Originally, I lived in
small world.
I worked strip joints there in Chicago years ago.
You and I both had to do the same thing, leave to make any money.
Yeah. LaVern Baker grew up in Chicago.
Yeah,
First
I left
time on stage.
Chicago when I was about 13.
First time on stage?
Well, big stage to matter was I was 14, Club Delisa.
Club Elisa. What, do you remember the song you did that night?
Yes.
What?
Dinah Washington's Evil Gal Blues and Lucky Old Son.
Ooh. Because you were exciting. When I remember at the Town Hill in Brooklyn, you were doing exciting songs at the time.
I still move.
You still move?
Yeah, you know, not too fast, but.
Then what happened when you left after Chicago?
I played Milwaukee. I remember Milwaukee was my last date to play in that area.
In that area?
And then I flew to Detroit, Michigan for my opening at the Flame Show Bar.
Oh, the Flame.
And it's been uphill all the way ever since. Yeah.
What do you mean by uphill all the way?
I met my manager.
Who was your manager then?
Al Green, one of the owners of the Flame Show Bar.
Uh-huh.
And he, laid the groundwork perfect for me with Todd Rhodes' band. So I would get used to doing the one-night stands, how they were operating.
Uh-huh.
And he introduced me to King Records. And I made a few good sellers on there. And then from there into New York to Atlantic.
Would you consider yourself a blues singer?
No, because I can sing anything.
That's right.
Yeah.
So they do call you blues, though.
Yes, some call me rock and roll, some call me blues. Some papers have quoted me as being a switch hitter, which I am, because I can sing anything. I was taught that many years ago by Ella Fitzgerald.
Ella?
Yeah.
What do you mean she taught you? Like what?
Well, she said, if you're going to sing, do it all.
That's right.
You know,
move up there.
because you never know where they're going to place you. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I worked in the big jazz rooms in New York. I followed Peggy Lee with the great Louis Armstrong. You know, that's when I switched out of rock and roll somewhat. I played Vegas, downtown and on the Strip. I played the Heat and Rock in Miami. But see, when you're in rock and roll, you can't play. Well, back then, you couldn't play these kind of rooms. You see, so you had to be able to switch. You know, I play all the Intercontinentals overseas, which you know about, and you have to be smooth to work those rooms. You can't be a belter. You know, I went in the Intercon in Manila for 2 weeks and stayed 11.
The Intercontinental in Manila.
Yeah, it's a
great hotel.
Isn't it fabulous?
But LaVern, let's get back further, though. Let's get back. You know, after your manager, what was the song that really hit for LaVern Baker? What was that real song?
Well, actually, my first hit with Atlantic was Soul on Fire.
Right.
But when it broke, I was in Europe, and my manager had to, get me to come home. And because I had steady work, I had planned to stay in Europe because I got mad at everybody. So I'll do that, you see.
You get mad at everybody?
Yeah, just like I did here. I stayed 22 years in the Philippines.
You certainly did.
Yes.
We'll get to that. But
so I came home, and Soul on Fire was raging.
Right.
You know, and it broke in New Orleans. And I toured, and made the dates, to really push the record and myself. And it made a beautiful name for myself. It being my first blues gospel hit.
Right, right.
And then from there, the next hit, of course, was Tweedle Dee, which was covered, and Tra La La from the movie was covered, but Jim Danny was on the other side, so I was saved because Jim Danny was the hit, you see. So, but quite a few of my things, Big Joe Turner's, Clyde McFadden's, all of us, quite a bit of our things were covered back then, We were fighting, It was very hard.
But tell me about Ella.
Ella Fitzgerald.
Tell me about her. She's such a great...
I haven't seen her now in close to 30 or 35 years.
Yeah, but then, before...
hey, she's the same.
Is she?
Was a beautiful lady. A beautiful lady, beautiful lady. I've never had the pleasure of working, not even on the same show with her, but I've known her. She's the one that named my little poodle.
She did?
Yeah.
What's your little poodle's name?
Well, he's dead now.
Yeah, what was it?
Tweedle Dee.
Tweedle Dee?
Mm-hmm.
Tell
she
me.
said, what else you going to name him? But Tweedle Dee. Yeah.
Tell me about Louis Armstrong.
Fabulous.
He is great.
His wife
I met
was
him
too, Lucille,
Yeah.
fabulous. We worked first. Mr. Glazer, my booking agent, who is deceased
Joe
now.
Glazer.
Yeah,
Yep.
he said, "Now you're gonna get out of rock and roll. You're gonna become a big nightclub act." He said, "Now you're either gonna know whether you can do it or you can't do it." So he says, since you're knitting around and having hard feelings and heartaches, so you're gonna go out with the best." The first show he put me on was a concert, and believe this is true. Oscar Peterson, Lionel Hampton, Louis Armstrong, Howlin' Wolf, and it was one more act. I can't and myself, and I was like this. I never played with the big greats before.
Oh, yes, you have. Go ahead.
Back then that was my
Yeah,
first one.
yeah.
So then after that, he put me with Louis on several gigs in New York. We followed Peggy Lee each time in Basin Street East, and then after I got to know him, he's a fabulous person to work for. I just knew him professionally.
Right.
But when you work with him, you get to know him close. Things he disliked, like he don't allow music on the bandstand when you're working.
Really?
No. His band and I rehearsed for 4 weeks straight, day and night, and they learned all of my charts by heart.
I heard.
Yes. He don't allow no charts on the stand.
Getting back. You went to Europe first. You're the Far
Well,
East. You went
I
to
was
Europe.
going to Europe every year, and I
Every year.
got tired
You
of
got
going
tired,
to
so you went to the Far East this
Yeah.
time. Vietnam. Come
Yeah.
on, Bob Hope, forget.
Yeah.
They roll the carpet for him.
Yeah.
Right?
I followed them, and Margaret.
Yeah.
I followed their show in about 6 of the bases.
Right.
And I'm happy to say that I was told that I had a better show, and I didn't make as much money, but I was told by the men, that my show was better.
Right.
And
It was
I was
alive,
right,
honey.
right behind them, right behind them.
Uh-huh.
I didn't get all the reception, but the guys, especially when I went to Nam, they don't have facilities there at the time for ladies.
Right.
They had very few women in at that time. Now they have a lot of women serving, but there wasn't that many women in at that particular time. I saw quite a few in Cameron Bay.
Cameron Bay, Da
And-
Nang,
yeah,
Trang.
yeah, you see quite
We
a
worked
few.
all those places.
Yeah, you see quite a few, and they made the girls as comfortable as they could with what they had.
Right.
The working conditions was hard. Those 4 o'clock in the morning shows didn't
That's
get to
right.
me too well, and that's why I laugh now when I hear like certain of the artists now, and they're gonna do this for the military, but nobody's ever talked about going on the line or how, like I
That's
did.
right.
you
You
know.
did. Bob
And
Hope
I-
actually
and I
didn't
wa-
go out in the field like you
Yeah,
did,
yeah.
Martha Ray or
Yeah.
Mamie Van Dorn.
Yeah. I
LaVern
worked-
Baker went out there.
Oh yeah, I
See?
worked with the dogs.
That's
the dogs
right.
were sitting right
That's
there.
right.
isn't
That's
it?
right. Vern.
Because the promoter that I was working for was an Australian, and he had the other promoter was an American. They worked side by side, and they wanted all the guys that possibly could, if it was an American show,
Right.
to see some of it.
Right.
So they come right in. They hadn't had any sleep. They come right in from the line.
That's right.
And we'd entertain them, and then they would go to bed
That's
because
right.
we weren't allowed to come off stage because of the dogs, But at least they got to see some of the stage. I did a lot of shows. I repeated a lot of bases. But after the show broke up, I stayed, and a lot of the bases I repeated by myself. In Bangkok,
In Bangkok, I worked
did
there
a
too.
lot of them by myself. The agent just called me up. You feel like working
Go.
so and so tonight? Sure,
The Officers Club, EM
Anyway,
Club,
yeah, because they
NCO.
always had functions.
Right.
So when I left Thailand, I opened in Hong Kong.
At the Playboy Club.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
and
That was fun.
It was. It was a.
Yeah.
It was. It was. I was shocked because it wasn't like the Playboys.
No, it isn't.
Here
It's
at
on
the time.
Calhoun's side,
Yeah,
right?
it's all. It's completely different. And
Let's tell us about the girls in the Playboy Club. All the girls around there. Come
yeah,
on.
the bunnies. They were nice.
Yeah?
They worked different than these
They were,
bunnies.
well, yeah, like what?
Well, like me, the guy said, what do you drink? So at the time I was drinking champagne. So the little bitty bottles like that, they call baby champs.
Uh-huh.
Well, I was amazed they were getting 66 Hong Kong dollars for this little thing.
Yeah.
And I was half as much amazed to know that I got 33 of it.
Well, they had to pay. They had to pay LaVern Baker's salary, darling.
Hey, but it was fabulous,
Yeah.
But I was drinking then. I don't drink now. I don't smoke either.
Don't drink, don't smoke.
No.
Something
stopped.
But then you moved to Manila. Come
No,
on, tell me about Manila. Something happened.
I took sick coming
Where?
out in Hong Kong.
In Hong Kong?
I broke down in Hong Kong. I was in Baptist Hospital in Hong Kong,
Really?
and they discovered that one of my lungs was about to collapse, and my heart had went up to size 28 when it's supposed to be 12 and a half or 13, you know.
Right.
And I had a little illness when I left, but I didn't tell anyone. The only person who knew was Mr. Glazer, and he passed away, so, you know, he couldn't verify my statement to anyone.
Right.
So anyway, I didn't think I was going to be working under those conditions, you know, in conditions that I was. So I was just, the doctors called me a car that had been in a bad accident, you know, like
Right.
that. And he said, you won't live another 3 months unless you do exactly what I say. So I stayed with him for about 3 months, and it didn't seem, to myself, I didn't seem like I was getting any better. So I went to the #1 heart specialist. It got to the point where all the money I made didn't mean anything to me. You know, my health meant more. So I went to him. He was very expensive. I had a nurse to come to my room in the mornings and give me an injection. And then I was made to walk from my little apartment to his office every day just to exercise the lungs. You know, no running. And then things started to improve, so he started letting me work. I worked 1 hour, just one show. But I had to work under the influence of codeine so that I wouldn't cough on stage. And immediately after the show, they give you just enough for the show, and then home, you know, because I had to start supporting myself. I
Right.
couldn't just lay like that. And then I got so that I could travel because they pull your health card on things like this. So he told me to get out of Hong Kong and go to a warmer climate.
Manila.
So I called my agent, Ching Imperial.
Chen Imperial. I
Yes,
know Chen.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
The Filipinas Hotel.
Right. Ching Imperial was
He
the
was my agent, too.
along with David Wolf. Remember David Wolf? Well, those are my overseas. They were my overseas
yes.
agents in Asia. So
Right.
they were called, and so Wolf came into Hong Kong and got me, and one said, you want to work the Intercon? So I said, he said, we'll put you in there. You got free room and blah, blah, blah. So I worked there and I stayed. So he had to leave for London. And so he put me at his house with his wife. He
Right.
said, we got spare bedroom, you stay here. And Annie will take care of you. And, you know, and so Annie started, and her and Ching started booking me back on the military bases. And they were surprised to know that I was back in the Philippines. So I went to Subic during the flood of 72. You remember the big flood?
Not quite, but
Well,
I
it-
came back then, 72.
Well, it
Go ahead.
rained, as they say in the Bible,
think I remember.
42 days and 42 nights. It was awful. All the rice paddies were rivers.
Uh-huh.
It was terrible. Anyway, I went with the Australian show. It was 2 singers and myself. We rode 2 bunker boats, 1 truck, and something else, because, you know, we had to ride across the rice paddies, no roads. And finally, as we were entering Olongapo, the assistant manager of the club where we were going to work, he saw us on the back of this truck.
Right.
We were on the back of this truck covered up with plastic, you know, because it was raining.
Raining.
You know. All my music, I lost all my music. My music went down under, you know, it was like a drowning person. It went down once.
All those great arrangements,
Yes.
huh?
I had to do it all over again. But anyway, we were stranded up there, the whole show. We couldn't get out. So we were sheltered by several of the military personnel up there in their homes, you know. So I stayed with Mr. and Mrs. Wright. And a week passed, and I still couldn't get out. So and then at that time, I had just got my eldest, my baby. So I was worried about her because I left her with her grandmother in Manila. But I had this thing that I didn't want her to be raised all Filipino all the way. I want her to be somewhat Americanized. So, because I knew if I leave her there too long, they're going to speak Tagalog, and the mind's going to go all Tagalog. You know, she didn't learn Tagalog until after she went to school. So anyway, make a long story short, I flew up and got my baby, and I come back, and one thing led to another, and they offered me a job, and I stayed.
And you were the MC of a club called the MCO Club. Every week you worked?
No, I'm the show director.
Show director?
Yeah, for the staff NCO Club. And that's owned by
In Subic Bay.
That's owned by the United States
Right,
Marine
of
Corps.
course, of course.
Yes, he's 6 and above.
But you performed, don't you, sometimes?
Yes, I work in the office Monday through Thursday. Friday and Saturday, I'm in the club.
In the club?
Yes.
Performing?
Yes.
Yes, as an MC. Master of
Mistress
Ceremony?
of ceremony, singer, dancer, comedian.
LaVern Baker. I
whatever
mean,
they needed.
that life, listen, living in Manila, 20-some years, God darn, please, help
Well,
to
you
God.
see,
I mean,
it wasn't so hard because I was still with Americans. You see, if I had been with all
But
foreigners.
Manila.
No, I lived
American,
in Subic.
I know, but let's face it, American in Manila
No,
They're
not
different.
in Manila.
Military.
Subic.
Subic Bay is Philippines, the same thing.
Yeah,
It's
but it's different up at that end than it is in Manila.
why is it so
It's
different?
much different. The matter of fact, the people in Manila don't like to associate with us at Subic.
Really?
Yes.
At Clark Bear Base and all that, they don't do that?
They don't
either?
like them either.
They don't?
No.
Okay, it's something new.
It's
but-
different. See, because the fleet is in,
I see.
you know, and we know they got the bars and the girls and all that. You know, when we get the fleet in, sometimes we got 85,000.
You handled it pretty well to stay
Oh,
there,
hey.
all that. You must.
Well, you got your merchant marines, you got your sailors, you got regular marines, you got army, and you got military.
I know.
Civilian
Yes,
personnel.
right.
And you got people from all parts of the world
Right,
there.
right. Yes.
And it's like a little city. And these people, especially when the fleet come in, these guys, I've seen the guys ride around sometime for 3 and 4 months and never touch land. And they just want to be entertained. They need something to feel, to give them a part of home. You know, they don't need a war to need this feeling.
So you felt
No.
good because you were doing something there.
Well, I felt good in this respect. I didn't have to go down to the level of being a bum. I was still LaVern Baker. I was still respected.
Right.
And my job, I could hold my head up high and be proud. I wasn't making the money that I make in the States,
right.
but I was earning a clean, decent living, you know, and this is what was important to me, you know. And,
88. Come on, tell me what happened.
Yeah.
88, you returned back to America.
Yeah.
LaVern Baker out of the plane into America. What is this? 20, I mean, Manila, 20 some, or Subic Bay, 20 some years.
Yes.
Come on, LaVern, how did you
Well,
how did you react?
Okay, for all the time that I've been gone, only 2 people know actually where I was. That was Atlantic Records.
Atlantic Records.
Ahmed Erdogan and my mother. So
Why did you keep that such a secret?
I just didn't want to be bothered. I'm like that now.
Nancy Holloway told me in Paris where
Yeah,
you were.
Yeah.
She knew.
I'm not very friendly.
You know Nancy? You know?
I know of her, yes.
Yeah, she told me that you were in Manila.
Yeah.
But
But when Ahmed called me he said we would like to fly you in for the 40th anniversary of Atlantic. So I said, okay, I'd be delighted. So after the show, I think a day and a half, because I went shopping one day.
Right.
Then right back. And then about 9 months later, Warner Brothers flew me in for a movie, the movie Shag.
Shag,
Yeah, and that was a one-day affair, and I went to sleep and got up the next morning, and I left right back. That was 34,000 miles in one day to when I did that.
This is Shag
Yeah.
from this wonderful motion picture, huh? Look at that. LaVern Baker.
Yeah, I had one single and one with Benny King.
Ben E. King.
Stand By
Yes,
Me.
I love it. Stand by.
Yeah,
Yes, of
yeah.
course. Look at that, LaVern. Happy to be back in America, though.
Yes, I am. It's
But
nice.
you know why? We all missed you. And you know what happened to your career? Dick Tracy came.
Yes,
Come
that
on,
was-
tell
that
me
was
about
exciting.
Dick Tracy.
Well,
you did the
it is.
soundtrack
Yes,
for that.
that's Slow Rolling Mama in there. And I flew up for that, and I flew right back again. When I came back the third time, I was winding my brains to whether I should go into black and blue or not. I had been approached 3 times.
Who produced the soundtrack of Dick Tracy? Do you remember?
Warner Brothers.
Warner Brothers. And then,
Oops.
oops, that's okay. Who did this, LaVern?
Well, that's not out yet.
It's not out.
No, that's coming.
What is this with Harlem? This is the Rags of Harlem. Is it
Raging Harlem.
Rage of Harlem.
Raging
Is it?
Harlem, yes. It's
Tell me about this.
I don't know too much about it either, but I did the soundtrack in that also.
You did.
That's not out. It's coming out. It should be out now. I think.
Then,
In 2
a couple
weeks.
weeks, then tell me, you went to Broadway. You
Yes,
subbed-
in Black and Blue.
Took over Ruth Brown's, that great lady Ruth Brown, your old friends. But how did you get that part? What happened?
Well, she wanted to leave, and well, actually, they had already flew over to see me way before she got in the show. They wanted me in the beginning,
Right.
and I wasn't ready to leave. As a matter of fact, Hector flew over twice to the Philippines,
Right.
and I just wasn't ready to leave. So when I did the Rhythm and Blues Foundation, we played Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. And then we were supposed to play Madison Square Garden, but we didn't. Something happened. And so the guy that was handling us, he just put us in another club in New York to make up for the date, so it just wouldn't be a
Right. What club was
total
that?
blank.
What was-
Roadhouse.
Roadhouse, yeah.
He put us in there for 2 nights, and while I was there, we cut that Dick Tracy. So the night of the Roadhouse, the producers of Black and Blue came, and they asked me would I stay over that Monday and come and talk to them. So I did.
LaVern
And
Baker.
I told them to give me 4 weeks to think about it.
4 weeks?
Yeah, I went back to work.
Why did you think so long? Why? Why did you
Well,
have to say?
I have 4 kids, and I have to sit over. And if it's a big decision, I like for my kids to be on. I like for my kids not to be just baby. I like them to let me know their opinion, how they feel about things. Let's talk this over. You know, even a little one. You know.
LaVern's a family lady, huh?
Yes, I've always wanted children.
Spiritual?
Yes, I love children.
Really?
Yes, I have 4.
So you talk to God and talk to your children before you do anything. Is that it?
Yes, I talk to God first.
Talk
every
to
day.
God first?
Every day.
Uh-huh.
But my kids, they're very, very intelligent, and I'm very proud to say this. They knew the main reason that I took this is 2 of them will go back to their real mother. And my 2, my eldest, I don't think she'll come now because she just got married. But only the baby will come. But they knew that I took this in order to get them out, because it will, you know, the Philippines. It will cost a great deal of money for me to get them out of the Philippines, plus the packing and shipping. I have to go back and resign my post at the base, and because I have so much work offered to me here in the United States, and my mother wants me to come home. So
She did want you to come home.
yeah, that's the first time she's ever asked me.
How was it to see her after all those years, LaVern
Well,
Baker? Come on, when you got to see your mother.
In '88, I was the first time I saw her in 18 and 19 years. And we don't hug and kiss or cry. I give her a kiss like that. You know, I mean, you know, the real cry. You know, she knows I don't like it. So
You don't like to cry?
no, I'm not a very
Emotional lady?
emotional person. You know, even my doctor said I should cry. That's part of the reason I have high blood pressure, because everything I have, I'll hold it inside. I'll stay mad a year and you'll never know.
Really?
Yes, I can. I'm a
Should
good-
let it out. It's good for you.
That's what he said.
Let it out.
But we hug and we kiss and we talk. You know, like after Black and Blue, I flew up for 3 days to see her. And Thanksgiving, I flew up to see her. And we just laid there. We didn't, you know, we look at TV and we eat.
I'm going to tell me about Black and Blue. The first night you got the role and you went on stage.
Well,
LaVern Baker, Broadway.
I only missed,
Come on, LaVern.
let's see, out of, if I can't sell it, I missed 2 lines. And the opening, I was a little above where I should have been in A natural, and I was just keyed down. But I was okay. And after about 4 days, I was okay.
Yeah, you got right
I
into
learned
it.
everything, you know.
Piece of cake.
Because all the songs I knew, I just had to learn them their way. You know what I mean? Because I've recorded St. Louis Blues twice, once fast, once slow.
LaVern Baker, just honored.
It's
Come
a
on,
pleasure.
January of 1990. You were just honored. You and Aretha Franklin, the only 2 ladies
Yes, in the
honored.
Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Well, this is a lot of people, especially here in Los Angeles, they think it's because you sell a lot of records that you get the Hall of Fame, but it's not. It is your work, your efforts through the years. You know, it's like the dues that you have paid, the things you have contributed to show business. You know, you help other artists to succeed. You see an artist on stage that's doing wrong, and you help them. This is a part of your pioneer work. This makes you a bearer of the Hall of Fame. You know, it's not how many records you sell.
Yes.
You know, if it was how many records you sell, we'd have many, many. It's your achievement, you know. Because see, if you notice, everybody that's getting this are artists from 40s and 50s.
Right.
Because it was hard working out here then. Not only in California, but especially in the immediate South. You know, and some parts north, you know.
Why do you say immediate South? Why is that?
Well, the South was harder, you know.
It was.
We had to go in the back door. We had to live across the
It was
railroad
kind of tough
track.
for you then.
Yeah, it was tough especially for the girls on the show.
You have any bitterness?
Yeah.
No?
No.
You don't?
Well, I tell you why.
Because you spent a lot of time back east in Europe and
Yeah, I
Far
did.
East.
But when I explained it to a reporter in New York, when I really start working the South on my own and really learn, you know, the big shows, and I learned what was really going down
Right.
in the situation. You know, the best thing you could do back then was to mind your own business, because you're not from there, you know. And my heart bled for this.
Yes.
But there was nothing just me alone could do about it.
I understand.
And at that time, people were not together enough for just one person to stand out. They didn't get no one to stand out until Dr. King, you see. But I was down there many years before Dr. King was out there. You know, I worked in tobacco fields. You know, they put the tobacco, stacked the tobacco up in bundles, and this was the stage. They didn't have no stage. You
I
know.
see.
We worked with ropes in the center.
Lovely.
You know, I worked one place where the man said every verse you turn. So that means a white was on this side. You know, I'd say Tweedle Tweedle Dee, and I'd look over here, and I'd say Humpty Dump 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 over here. You know, but this was it.
Yes.
You know, if I didn't get a room to stay, I had to stay on the bus or in the car.
I don't want to say LaVern Baker's paid her dues.
Oh,
that word,
I have.
that word I don't like, paid the dues. You've experienced life. You have tasted, you have worked it.
Yeah, it's hard too.
It's
it was
hard. And you're out there to tell the young kids and the young people, you know.
They have it easy now.
They have it easy.
They have it easy. They can go on a southern tour now. Now, I will say this. I haven't been down south since I have been back.
Yeah.
But I have many friends that are from the South, you know. And it's still there.
I see.
But it's just a little bit more sophisticated. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
You know, in other words, you can't just say, there it is.
Yeah.
You understand? Because you can't see it. You know, you could feel it, because if you've been through it, you feel it.
Yes.
You feel it automatically.
Yes.
You know.
LaVern.
Hey, it's been a pleasure.
No, it's not been pleasure. Let's talk about the Roosevelt first, and then we'll say the
Hey,
Roosevelt Hotel in Los Angeles.
Impressed.
That is why you're here in Los Angeles.
I'm really impressed with this place.
The Roosevelt?
Yes. Everyone.
Who's been coming to see you at the Roosevelt nowadays?
Well, mostly people that know me, well, knew me before, and a lot of old friends, you know, the Platters and so forth and so on.
I love the Platters.
Linda Hopkins, she was with me in Black and Blue. And she says, I'll be there for your opening, because she had to ship all of her stuff out of her apartment, you know. And so she said she was worried if they were going to get there in time for her to fly home to be there. But she was there. She made it.
What's your show like? What is it like now?
I'm doing all of my records, mainly all of my records, my recordings. And I felt this would be best for right now, because I'm just coming back, and this is what people remember you from. You know, I do a few nostalgias, just a few.
You're enjoying it? You're
I
having a good
love
time?
it, because everybody's very nice. It's easy to work when everyone treats you good. It's easy.
What's happening after, LaVern, after the Roosevelt?
I leave there, and we go to Toronto.